Sergeant and Mrs. Smith, you're going to love this house.
Is that a tub in the kitchen?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
Hi, it's Dave here, and you're listening to The Cinemile, the podcast where myself and my wife Kathy walk home from the movies. But I'm not with her today because she did not want to see this film. But luckily, I found somebody who did. So I'm here today walking with my friend Lee Gant, who has flown in all the way from England to see Alien Romulus in Ireland.
Yes, I heard it's the best place to watch it.
Yeah, it's the original home of the facehugger.
Yeah, it's the alien capital of Northern Europe, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you know, a lot of people attribute it to H.R. Geiger, but it was actually the ancient Celtic druids who first hugged faces, and you just got attacked by a tree.
Yeah, I'm just getting into it, man.
Yeah. So, Lee, welcome back. It's been ages since we've had you on the podcast. So
it really has. When was it? Meg, do you only just ship me in to do the shit creature features?
Pretty much. Well, don't pretend like that's not your bread and butter.
That's my forte.
Yeah. So, well, that's not true. We also brought you in for, I remember seeing The Mummy with you. And Andy Naylor.
Feature.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Now there is a pattern. The Invisible Man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I see it now. So, Lee, give me and the audience a sort of a overview of your relationship to the Alien franchise.
Oh, I thought you were going to say relationship to you.
No, they don't care about that.
Way back in the summer of 015.
Tell them all how we first met. No, they want to talk about Alien. We're going to see Alien Romulus. This is the first since Alien Covenant, right?
Yes.
Which was what, 5 or 6 years ago? More?
Ages ago.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember about that is there's a character called Tennessee.
That's right, played by Danny
McBride.
Thank you, yes, yeah. We actually, that's a loud tractor. We actually did, Kathy and I were doing the Cinemile at the time. That's how long this has been going. And so we did that. We're in episode 50 something, if you do want to scroll back and listen. But Lee, what's your feeling on the long-running Alien franchise? And
the old franchise makes it sound a bit worse when you say the word franchise, doesn't it? But I suppose that's what
it is. Yeah.
I mean, that's what all successful film series inevitably turn into in today's modern age of, you know, just having to make loads of money, basically. But Alien is probably one of my favourite films ever. It's just amazing. I could watch it. I think I've seen it about 3 times at the cinema. Aliens is brilliant as well, obviously. I've just always liked the nastiness of it, the unrelenting nastiness of that whole world. Not just the aliens, but the humans that live in it. It's just horrible. It's like the Mad Max in space, isn't it? It's just like, you're not going to get any... There's no let up here.
No, you're either the ruthless corporation is going to screw you over, or you're a blue collar worker working for the ruthless corporations. It's real big anti-capitalist sort of vibe to it all, isn't there? Yeah. Yeah,
and even when you find solace in the eyes and gentle soul of a small child, she'll inevitably die as she ages and you don't, or she'll just get killed off in an off-screen crash. There's just no... I just love how it's just, even with like James Cameron on board, there's no getting out of how horrible it is. So maybe that's why I like it so much. It's a horrible world, man. And just when you think it's getting better, Harry Dean Stanton gets eaten. A metaphor for life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I want exactly what you said to be read out at my funeral.
Sweet, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that'd be nice.
I can arrange for that.
I'm with you. Alien is... I think sci-fi is my favourite genre. Sci-fi horror is probably my favourite sort of sub-genre.
I think I've never... I mean, obviously it is, but I've never seen Alien as... I know people will be shouting, it fucking is, whatever, but I've never seen it as sci-fi. It's just a pure horror film. It's like a really horrible Agatha Christie in space. And I know there's an alien in it, but it's not. It doesn't lean into,
There's an alien
sci-fi
in it?
tropes and stuff. Yeah, I think that guy.
Let's go back and watch that again.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. It's horror first, but it's sci-fi
it's horror
second.
Sci-fi.
Yeah, but I think
it's not like a sci-fi horror like Event Horizon, say.
Yeah, sure.
Where it's all on the themes.
It's not too much interested in the sci-fi, but I will say the world, the reason for me that movie is the best of that genre is Ridley Scott created a world much like George Lucas did, and I think this film was commissioned because of the success of Star Wars, like that felt very unlike what had come before in terms of shiny, sparkly sci-fi futurism. It was just schlubby, blue-collar workers, like getting paid nothing in a like basically driving a truck in the middle of space.
It was truckers in space, and out of that era of mid to late 70s pessimism about capitalism, the post-Vietnam era and stuff like that. People liked seeing those people on screen. You'd look at these characters played by Yaphet Kotto and Harry Dean Stanton, and people like that, and go, "Oh my God! Like, yeah, that could be me. Not me, obviously, as a young boy in Leicester who was born about 15 years after it was made, but you know,
you always aspired to be a space trucker."
I could have gone down that route, Dave. I couldn't parallel park that bloody spaceship. But yeah, I think it was, you know, apart from the fantastical elements of it and the futuristic elements, like, it was very realistic. It was very, like, not shiny. It was the anti-Star Wars, wasn't it? Yeah. It wasn't matinee idols like Harrison Ford. It was like Harry Dean Stanton, who looks like the uncle you don't let near your kids. Like,
exactly. And the other thing I always admire about it was the creature design, famously, we all know, but the way it was thought through, like how that creature, you know, its life cycle, you know, the eggs and the face art, and it's so like invasive as an idea, this parasite growing within you, and the other thing is just the scope of this world that was hinted at by, you know, the space jockey and the spacecraft, and this, you know, I think for a movie that's largely set on one spacecraft and is this closed quarters movie, it created a vastness of a universe, you know, with doing very little. And I think everything that followed, and there's some good stuff in the sequels, only diminished really what is know, a vast expanding idea in the audience's imagination.
The Alien films really could have been like the 2016 Jamaican relay team of film, because you're not going to get a better starter than Ridley, and he exploded out of the blocks with that baton, and then he passed it on to, who was it? I'm trying to
James Cameron,
Johan Blake. Yeah, no, I'm thinking of it. I'm just trying to name Jamaican sprinters now. I think it was Blake.
Sorry. I like that you just assumed I'd have the Jamaican relay team off the top of my head. Yeah.
But James Cameron did really, it just cemented it and said, right, here we go, we're going into the end now. And unfortunately, we haven't had a Usain Bolt to bring it home yet.
No. So and that brings us neatly onto Alien Romulus. So what do you know about this film and how you're feeling going into it?
Nothing. I only know that it's a film about Alien, and it's named Alien Romulus is named after the first leader of Rome was called Romulus. So I'm not quite sure how it ties into because Prometheus was a Greek titan.
Yeah.
And so I'm just not quite sure, mate. Is it just a ship? Am I reading too much into it? Is it just a ship name? Like,
I'm sure there's going to be some sort of analogy, right?
Is Romulus the first of? Maybe it's just saying, right, this is the first of the next lot. So settle back, because we are going to grind these things out.
Oh no!
But I don't know anything about it at all, apart from I'm thinking, and I don't know why, but I'm thinking it's just going to be like a standalone. Kind of standalone kind of guys and girls on a mission kind of. I want it to be that. I want it to be that kind of, don't go too into the mythology and stuff about it, although if they do it and it's good, brilliant. But I've got no expectations.
I'm with you. That's all I want. I just want a good horror film that kind of does justice to these creatures. If you throw me a load of cannon fodder and I get to watch people die in inglorious ways, I'm okay with that. And I really hope you're right, and that they don't lean too much into the connecting this with you know, if Ripley's CGI face shows up, I'm out. Checked out.
I also just think it's such a strong franchise, whatever you want to call it, that presumably it's going to be around for ages. Not every instalment has to, like, kind of groan under its own kind of like earnestness of tying everything back into like, oh, what does this mean? Like, if we're going to have loads and loads and dozens of these films in the future, some of them can just be like screaming, like Alien, basically, just with a little hint to stuff. Like, just get the nuts and bolts right, and we'll read into that shit what we want.
Yeah, exactly. I think to leave more to the imagination and just get in and get out.
Yeah, but not with the aliens. Show those things all the time.
yeah.
Like, I want them
see all their mouths and full spitting saliva, acidic glory.
I don't want that Jaws treatment. I want everything.
That's funny coming from you, the biggest Jaws fan in the world.
Yeah, I am. But
well, we're here now anyway. So we're gonna check back in with you shortly after Alien Romulus. Here we go.
There she is.
You want to break in and steal highly regulated equipment.
This could be our only ticket out of here. Should be in and out in 30 minutes.
Welcome to the Romulus Space Station.
This place gives me the creeps.
What the hell is this?
I don't know.
What the fuck was that? Young!
Stop playing around, man. Just get up.
I'm not playing around, there's something in the water.
What do you mean there's something in the
I don't
water?
know, there's just something in the fucking water.
All right, hi, we're back. We have seen Alien Romulus. If it's your first time here at the Cinemile, well, we won't spoil anything until, of course, we get to Spoiler Street. Do you remember where Spoiler Street is, Lee, right?
oh, we're just crossing over it now, aren't we?
No.
Oh, sorry,
It's ages
no.
away.
I mean, just
you have
walking along.
You have to not spoil anything first.
Right, sorry, yeah.
And give everyone so we've seen it. What Lee, tell the lovely people what your sort of general thoughts were on Alien Romulus.
Just total top line, like, not enough deaths, slightly too strung out, and I appreciate they're trying to like build character and all that kind of stuff, but it took way too long to get there. We don't need to live in their world for an hour before we get into it. I think just come on, just get into it, and I think that's what.
Yeah, you were quite agitated at the beginning.
Yeah, I just think a lot of the time films like that kind of, and not being disrespectful to the filmmakers or whatever, but I think they mix up characterization and like getting into characters and stuff with just making it too long. It's like, oh, let's hang around with them for 40 minutes before the plot starts. It's like, no, just get into it. And it does actually make you really realise how great Cameron and Scott, just to use examples from the same franchise, were at getting straight into a character and going, okay, I get that person, You might watch Aliens back now and see that it's quite simplistic characterisation, but do you need any more than that, really?
Yeah.
Like,
well, these people tend to just be archetypes, right?
yeah, we had all the same people as ever in that, the hothead, all that kind of thing. It's just, yeah, but it was, I mean, to go on the positives, there was some great creature design. The sets were good, although again, that's a bit of a bugbear of mine, that it's like, it's not grand designs. I don't want to walk around this set for 20 minutes before an alien jumps out of someone. Just have a bit of tension and then let's get to it. It's not, I think, it's that Blade Runner disease of like...
I'd love if Malcolm McLeod, or whatever his name is, Duncan McLeod, showed up.
Yeah.
You should have seen this place before I got here.
Yeah. That was the only other little thing. It was just a bit long. It was decent, but it certainly was not. Like, I don't think it was as good as Covenant, and I think that's what people are saying. A lot of people I've heard are like, oh, it's the best one since Alien 3, which I think is like, no.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I was really spiked. Like, if you were measuring my feelings about this film,
you were tutting a lot.
Cardio, I tutted a lot. But if you looked at my feelings on a cardiograph, there were certainly it was spiking all over the place. Like sometimes I was like really with this film, and there are great scenes, I think.
Yes.
But then other times I was like, no, film, and I was tutting, and it's like, no, you're doing it wrong, bad film, and so I'm kind of all over the map on it. So I think on the whole, I'm with you. I'm like, I think Fede Álvarez, I like as a director. I think it's a really, I think there's some good stuff in here for sure. I think it is really a little too stuck in the reverence of the lore and the timeline. There are big mistakes I think I'd rather they'd not have done here.
Yeah, and it made big things out of stuff that in the other films it's just a
trivial
part of the,
exactly.
Not so much trivial, but just part of the, I don't want to go into spoiler street, but little bits that are just part of the whole alien world.
Yeah, and it just anchors its whole self around those things.
Yes.
And the other thing is I gotta say, it like this film treads a fine line between like playing the hits and trying to invent some new songs.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about either. I'm like, it's like when you're at a concert and you're like, this is such a well-established band, and you're like, it's like, oh yeah, just play the hits, but then they play the hits and you're like, do you know what? This is getting a bit tired.
Something else.
Yeah, and they try something else, and then they play a new song, and it's like, oh, I don't really like that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you just can't win.
Again, I just want to say, you come away, if the film's 50-50, you come away thinking about the frustrations more, but there was a lot to like in that, and I wouldn't put anyone off going to see it, because you jumped in about 3 bits.
I did.
And I
You got me.
did.
You got me.
It was totally worth watching. Very well made, good, blah, 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 all the rest of it. Just did, yeah.
A lot of good puppet.
Not quite there.
A lot of good puppet work. I think there was a lot of good creature and puppet
the
work.
facehuggers were finally lovely to see those lads taking centre stage for once. They've done a lot of graft in the last 600 years, and do you know what? They deserve it. The gaffer called them up and they were ready.
Lads.
A lot of people.
Let's anyway, I think it's time to go to Spoiler Street, but before we're gonna you might hear a quick ad and we'll be straight back. Spoilers for Alien Romulus. On the subject of, I kind of slightly disagree with you on the build up in the first 30-40 minutes. I was a lot happier.
You're wrong.
With that. I was enjoying spending time on a colony, a Weyland-Yutani colony, down in the muck. People. I felt I was with the character Rain, being this kind of perpetual service. I was getting vibes from Andor season 1 actually in this like put upon workforce, corporate slavery, and just this. I think there's a great moment where it says like Weyland-Yutani colony, blah blah blah, population 270,000, whatever it was, days of sunlight 0, and that, I don't know, that really hit me hard for some reason. And just I loved that the objective of these characters was to see a sunset. I found that quite simple and admirable. I liked it. Now, to your what I will side with you on is, did I really care about any of them enough to spend that much time with them? Probably not. They're all, as you say, they're very thinly drawn. Well, they could have done it more economically, but
I think the linchpin was her relationship with the android.
With the android, yes, I completely agree, and I liked both of their performances, and they kind of carried the film. He was really great.
Again, I'm not slagging it off. I just think, and we were talking before you hit record about film lengths and stuff, and I'm always very happy to have long films. I'm not in that brigade of make films shorter, but I think sometimes, in this film, like in films where it's like, the ship will explode in T-minus 20 minutes, and then the next thing you know, it's, hello, the ship will explode in T-minus 7 minutes. You go, oh fucking hell, what's that one? It's gone well quick. This seemed to just get longer.
At one point it was 36 hours. And I was like, oh, they've loads of time. And then suddenly it was 45 minutes, and he says, oh yeah, we moved 2 degrees. You know.
Yeah, and also there were so many counters. It was like, you've left this on too long now. This is gonna. There's like 17.
Your pancakes will be ready in T minus 35 seconds.
It was like Red Dwarf. It was almost like, and the machines at it as well. Like it was a bit like it felt like every little plot development was based around a door shutting and not being able to open it and stuff like that.
That's the thing. The for all the inventiveness that is on display here, there is some inventiveness on display here. I think you can't escape the fact that this ultimately is just another spooky space station race in a maze. Movie. Like, I feel like the actual core of this movie we've seen before, which is also fine. I'm okay again with the.
Every little bit of it was like we've seen it before, but there was just too many bits where it was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to lock you in, or open the door, open the goddamn door.
The thing that really annoyed you, I could sense your frustration, was when. When she goes, so Sam doesn't open the door for the pregnant woman. There's this big standoff. Andy doesn't open the door for the pregnant woman. He says, we would have all died.
God.
And then she goes to him, how could you do this, Andy?
I can't believe it. And then he does it again, and she goes, oh no!
I can hear you going, do you know, because he's an android woman.
My head in. It's like, you're the super space sci-fi woman. You know what
his programming was changed. It's as simple as that.
Like, she's seen what happens. He's an android every time she said, how could you do it? He's an android. I just don't understand. He's an android. Andy, why don't you love me? He's an android. He's an android. It reminds me.
Sorry, go on.
My mate, Naylor, who I think you might have had on the podcast before, I showed him It's a Wonderful Life for the first time years ago, and he just couldn't get past the fact that, when George Bailey's taken by Clarence the Angel to see, and he goes, okay, this is what Bedford Falls would have been like if you were never born. Yeah. And he goes, oh, and then he goes into everyone, no one recognises him, and he goes, oh no, Harry, no, you recognise me, and he just can't get his head around the fact that he's like, again, this is what it'd be like if you weren't born and nobody knows. Oh, okay, Ernie, don't you recognise me? It's the same shit. It's like, no, come on, we've got to be better than this. You're stupid.
The worst bit was when there's a moment where he walks away from her, then the other guy walks away, and she is by herself, and it's just us and her. Like, it zooms in on her, and she just looks off in the distance. She goes, Andy, where have you gone? And I was like, his program has been rewritten. You know the solution. It's anyway.
Just little things like that. Like, imagine Ripley doing that.
No, but Ripley was ruthless. Ripley was the Andy of that film.
Yeah,
she was like, do not bring John Hurt on this ship.
Yeah. Why not? Because he's an unfeeling robot, android, whatever. Like,
let's focus on some good stuff. So I'm going to list off some of the things I thought were good.
I wasn't finished with the slightly bad.
Sorry,
stuff.
Go ahead.
They overused Ash.
Yeah,
It was great.
Oh, okay.
It was nice to see in Holmes' face, but I just
you called that in the we were taking the piss out of that.
I knew they were good. Yeah, and it's just
that was
like,
bad CG, right? Really bad.
It
like
was
the
bad.
lip syncing was off.
It was bad, but at first I thought, oh, okay, it's just like a little Easter egg, a little Ian Holm thing, but.
They kept fucking going. They kept putting him into the plot.
He was like the third character. Yeah. And do you know what? Like, in a slightly serious way, I just think you've taken that away from a new actor who could have done that. There's no reason for that to have looked like Ash. He was a different science officer. There's no reason we can't get our heads around the fact that they did a slightly different looking science officer android. It could have been someone else to really get their acting chops around it. There's no reason for it to have been him, and it was just a massive distraction, I think. And then
I completely agree. That's the point at which the movie lost me. I was actually really quite on board with it up until that point.
Fair. I mean, I still wouldn't have liked it, but fair enough if it was just a little Easter egg, like oh look, it's Ash kind of thing, like. But
no, but that's too much member berries for me, and it added nothing. It only detracted. I agree. That really bothered me. But the good bits were I thought the whole idea of trying to get past the room of face huggers
That was great.
by adjusting the temperature, very clever, great setup, and that's very
That was a real good set piece. That was like a Lost World / The Birds kind
exactly
of thing.
brilliant. You can
Really
and
clever.
Andy, the dialogue perfectly sets up the stakes for the tension. Don't make too much noise. Don't sweat. Don't get goosebumps. And stay calm. Basically your temperature can go up or down. I thought it was really good. If anything, they didn't do enough with it. Another thing I thought was great was the Chekhov's 0G reset, which we got very early on. I thought they made fantastic use of that in the third act. I thought there's some really good stuff in the third act, like the whole Rain switching the gravity off so that the acid doesn't hit the floor is the kind of clever stuff I love in these movies. And then I thought when she had to like swim through the acid clouds, that's cool.
That was quite good.
Very cool.
That was quite good, but I do feel, just to be like slightly negative again, I know I wasn't going to be it, but that was quite good. But come on, like, it was quite good, but it wasn't like edge of your seat.
No,
okay. You know, compared to like.
But it was novel. I hadn't seen that before. They did something interesting with the acid blood, and actually there was great use of the acid blood. I also liked the way she used the weird acid blood egg from the baby that came out of that woman. When she couldn't open the cargo floor, and I thought that whole effect was very well done, of her on the rope, slipping down through the vacuum. The sound disappears, and then I thought this was genuinely scary when she's climbing back up, and that weird human sort of mixture of an engineer from Prometheus and an alien and a baby, and it kind of, which I think was hit or miss, but the whole thing where it's upside down, she's trying to get back up, its face is melting, and it's trying to get through her helmet, I found quite effective.
Yeah, that was
good.
That was the aliens moment, wasn't it? That was like
yes. And sorry before I go back to you, Lee, but speaking of aliens moments, when Andy says, "Get away from her, you bitch! I wanted to die."
No.
It was just no.
You don't need to be doing that.
It didn't. No, you don't. You're better than this movie.
Yeah.
Be your own thing.
And then when she said, "Die, motherfucker." Like,
well, look. At least it wasn't. It's not a great. It's not a great line.
You wouldn't say anything in that moment. Just
but you wouldn't say. What you wouldn't say is the exact thing that someone else says in a different movie that is so specific.
I'll tell you.
Do you know what I mean? Like, why would Andy say that in that moment?
You wouldn't say it. Definitely. An android.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way that character says the exact line that another character from the same franchise says. It's just it annoyed me to no end. It just took me right out of the movie.
And also, he wouldn't say stuff like, "Is this going to work? There's only one way to find out." He's an android. Like he's been getting
much sass. He would say there's a 37% chance that this works.
Too much sass.
Yeah.
I did like. I mean, I think one of the problems was there weren't enough deaths and they were saving people quite a lot, but
there were very few characters, right? There were only 5 stasis pods.
We needed to rattle through a lot more people, I think, and it didn't do that. But I will say I thought the actual finale after the door fest was really good, and I thought that engineer thing was an absolute nightmare in a really good way. It was like nightmare fuel.
Yeah,
I thought that was like when
it was creepy when it was smiling.
Yeah, when he came along, I thought, right, here we go. This is yours. This is when you talk about Alien Romulus in 5 years' time. You'll say, "Oh, that fucking horrible bit at the end was an absolute nightmare." You don't remember all this rubbish door stuff and
exactly because it was
total wipeout with floating acid and all that stuff.
Lee, I'm totally with you. This is how I felt. Act 1. You wasn't doing it for you, but I was absorbed. I was glad to be back in the world. I like to see the old 70s analog tech. I was like, okay, this is good, and I'm seeing some new stuff here. And I get the setup. It's a heist. You want to see a sunset. Stakes, good. Act 2 lost me. It was boring. As you've nailed it. Doorfest. Very plodding, boring. And then Act 3 from the lift. The lift stuff was also great, like the zero-G and the lift. So of all the stuff from the zero-G lift and then the Prometheus guy, was good. There was good stuff there. So yeah, I think it did kind of pick its up at the end. But yeah, so a real mixed bag. I think a bit disappointing.
But
again, some good stuff. Yeah, I like Fede Álvarez.
Yeah, I mean it's a trite thing to say, but I'm glad I saw it at the cinema because there were some great moments and stuff I'll remember for stuff I'll remember for a while.
You all right?
I'll remember that's there next time we do this. But yeah, the ending was great, and I didn't know where they were going to go with that. Are we off spoiler street now? Or
yeah, you can spoil away. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know where they were going to go with that pregnant woman, but I'm glad they went there because that was just horrible.
It was interesting.
It was really good. Yeah.
Although you could argue there is an argument that they kind of did this in Alien Resurrection a little bit. Do you remember there was the end of that had a sort of a human xenomorph hybrid that had been born from the clone of Ripley. So and that also had a sort of a motherly relationship with it. So now this is it's quite different to that, but it was reminiscent of it.
Yeah. But he just looked like it was funny you say Event Horizon, that kind of nightmare. You know, the lighting was amazing. It was like Aliens at the end of Aliens, the flashing, the strobing, just the kind of that's what we wanted from it all the way through, that relentless grinding. This is a nightmare, you're all going to die. But it was just like, oh no, Johnny, shut that door, and then they shut a door and then they sit there for a bit, and then she tries to work out why the android isn't best mates with them anymore, and then they open another door and then someone else doesn't die, and then it's just the momentum just wasn't like there really.
Yeah, you're dead right. No, you've nailed it. We cut this film to the core.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
But again,
I'm sorry to be so negative because there's something inherently that I find sometimes a bit bad about it was not a bad review, but do you know what I mean? Just coming out and going, oh, this was shit and that was shit. You know, it's a multi-million pound film that a lot of effort went into.
Yeah, and again, I thought the creature work was good. I agree with you. I think the sets were great. I think Fede Álvarez as a writer director, I loved Don't Breathe. I think he's very capable. I think he's did his best to bring some new stuff in here and I think created a sense of atmosphere. There's just I think you nailed it, some momentum issues in the second act. Too many of the greatest hits.
I think
they're not landing. So
if anything, he had too much reverence for it, and he spent too much time wallowing around in the folklore and the Weyland-Yutani stuff. You just need to set it up. I'm telling him how to do an Aliens film. You need to set it up and then have some mental horror stuff for about an hour, and then, do you know what I mean? Then have your little twists and all the rest of it. And like there was all this like insidious Weyland-Yutani stuff, but we get that now. We get it. We don't need to listen to Ian Holm.
Yeah, we know they're evil
for 10 minutes. Like we know. Let's go. Like,
all right. Well, I think that about covers it.
Sorry, I feel like I've just ranted for about 15 minutes.
No, I'm with you. But we'd love to hear what the audience thinks. So let us know what you guys thought. We are at thecinemile@gmail.com, or you can message us on Instagram or Letterboxd or YouTube at The Cinemile. Or if you want to talk to Lee, where can they talk to you, Lee? Where's best? What are you these days?
I'm only on Instagram these days at Lee Gant.
Okay, so message. You can argue with Lee at Lee Gant. And do you want to plug any of your work, Lee, or where can people find you? Lee writes for The Traitors, which is a fantastic show that you all need to watch.
If you go on my Instagram, there's like links to short films and stuff I've done now. I've got another short film coming out soon. It's in festivals at the minute that we're trying to get it into some of the big ones, called Ticket, and that's having its premiere on 10th of October in the Crouch End Art House. So there we go.
Oh, fantastic. And I'm going to link in the comments to a short that Lee wrote. Remind me of the name of it. Where about the set in heaven, where
it's like Purgatory. Two
Man's Land. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. Very funny. Fantastic idea. I'm going to link to that. You can watch it right now in the show notes to this. Highly recommend it. And Lee, thanks very much for joining me and hugging my face.
Thanks for having me, Dave. It's been a pleasure in the old Emerald Isle, and finishing my trip off with a trip to deep space. It's always welcome.
And I've one last plug. We still have tickets left to our show at the Cork Podcast Festival on Sunday 15th of September. So if you want to come along, hang out with me and Kathy, we're going to be chatting to the audience, doing a live show. We're going to be talking about a lot of the latest releases. We'll be doing a review of Beetlejuice, and we'll be doing some old films as well, and we'd love to see you there if you can make it. Cork Podcast Festival, just search that. I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well.
Well, imagine if you do the Q&A for that and the first person puts their hand up and you look over and it's like just this fleshy tail has put its hand up and you just look down and it's a face hugger and you go, someone gives him a mic and he goes, yeah, what's your problem with me, mate? Sorry. What, do you want to say it to my face?
You got a problem with Act 2?
Because I can say it to your face, mate, with this.
All right, thanks Liam, thanks for listening everyone. Bye.
Whatever comes, we'll face it together.
Let's go.